Hello, everyone, and welcome down to episode 131 of the Down South Photo Show, Australia's most popular photography podcast. What are we? The highest ranked photography podcast. Gee, I'm not doing the intro very well this week.
I'll tell you what, we could just make up whatever title we want, and no one's going to go check it.
No, that's true.
We are the number one podcast in the world for photography related BS.
With me, Brendan Wade's here in Ocean Grove, Victoria, Australia, and the guy on your other screen, welcome back, or in your other ear, it's Cam Blake from Hobart, Tasmania, Australia. Welcome back, Cameron.
Thank you. Every time I come back after you have a special guest, I feel a little bit less significant.
Well, every time you come back after I have a special guest, I botch the intro. It must be this Mercury cider that I'm drinking.
It's got Tasmanian water in it, mate.
It's also, I just realized, 6.9% alcohol.
Yeah, they're lellethal.
That's rocket fuel.
There's a fair chance you may grow another head before the end of this episode.
That's right. Might happen. You never know.
Might happen. How good was Rudy? That was awesome.
Yes, Rudy. The response has been wonderful. Thank you. Rudy has also said thank you for the response, the questions, the comments, all that sort of stuff. He was great. I mean, a 17-year-old kid who already is pretty much an expert.
It was already better than us too.
Well, that wouldn't be hard. Yeah. But it's just amazing. I watched part of the episode back when he was talking about the distances that we're dealing with here and how old the light is. That the light is actually reaching his telescope after traveling through space for 1 million years. I mean, at light speed.
when you think about like the whole universe could be done, we could be all shot. We might not know about it. It might have already happened, and we're waiting for that light to reach us to say it's over.
Well, that's right. If the sun was extinguished all of a sudden, we wouldn't know for 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So there you go. But amazing stuff.
Could do a lot of things in 8 minutes.
You could. Yeah, absolutely. You could drink 4 hard ciders.
What would you do if you had 10 minutes left? What would you do?
That's a question without notice.
Yeah, why not? What would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah.
Oh God. Can I answer that next week? I don't know. I need more. Can I have 10 minutes to think about it?
I want a spontaneous. Come on, what would you do?
I don't know. Probably something really soppy, like hug my family.
Right. Yeah, I reckon I'd take the family out in the front porch here, grab a few drinks and just watch it end. I don't know, whichever way it's going to end, but
that's right.
It's not like I'm not going to get into the hallway or get into the bath tank.
Keep it light, Cam. Keep it light.
Oh, keep it light. Sorry. Okay. All right. Well, we're talking about Astro and end of the world and stuff. Oh yeah. This could be one of the worst starts to the show we've done in many times.
I have no doubt. So if you haven't listened or watched episode 130, go back and this last week's episode with Rudy all the way from France, who talked about deep space astrophotography. So and he messaged me during the week and he said he's by all means happy to answer anyone's questions about gear. I've had a couple of questions about people who want to get into the genre and what telescope they might need to get started, or indeed the telescope that Rudy uses. So more than happy to answer those questions. So by all means, hit us up in the comments below or head over to rudy.astro on Instagram and tell him you're a fan of the show and he will answer your questions.
So we should start ranking in France now.
I have no doubt. In fact, I know that we picked up some subscribers from France. So
how many subscribers do we have now?
860 when I last checked. So that's on YouTube alone, of course. On the podcast side of things, I think we have 848 trillion.
Yeah, I think it's definitely in the trillions now.
Definitely in the trillions. It have to be. Yeah, for sure.
Because we are the number one photography podcast in the world. So
in the world now. Okay, fine. The winter comp, which feels like it's dragged on forever because it kind of has, like winter itself. We have a People's Choice winner, Cameron, for the winter comp. Would you like to announce the winner of that?
Apparently, I'm announcing the winner.
You
are. Congratulations to Leanne Marshall, not Leanne.
Leanne Marshall.
Well done, Marshall. Leanne. Yes, I just want to make sure I get that name right. Who had that great shot of out underneath the plane wing over? I think it's over New Zealand, which should be on the screen.
Stop with the 1,000 words. It's on the screen now. There.
That one.
That one. Yep.
Awesome. I love that shot. That was in my top 10, top 5.
I think it made both our short lists.
It did. Yeah. Very cool. So, am I sending something to her? I am. I think
yes, you
she's got so she can get a $100 voucher from me.
Wow.
Or she can have a Cradle Mountain book, or she can have something.
Generous. Very
Just
nice.
get in touch, Leanne. We'll work something out. Send us an
Absolutely.
email, cam@tasphoto.com.au, and we'll get something out to you.
And I mentioned it last week on the show that Eric, who won the comp, who not the People's Choice, the actual winner, popped into the shop a couple of weeks ago, used his voucher, bought a wonderful mate. We did a beautiful canvas print for him, not of the photo that won, but another one that he wanted to get done.
Right.
Came up an absolute treat. Eric's traveling around with his lovely wife, so it was good of them to pop into the shop.
And then brought it back for a refund so he can get the cash out of it.
Yeah, imagine that. That'd be a rort, wouldn't it? We can't have that.
They can't do that. No, you can't exchange it for cash. It's not happening.
No, exactly not. 863 subscribers apparently.
Yeah, it's gone up just as we're talking.
As we were speaking, I love it. Now, a couple of plugs at the top of the show. Number one is our Ballerine one-day workshops, Cam, which I believe up on the website and are selling.
They are selling. We've got spots selling in both ones, January 17 and January 18.
Which is a Friday and Saturday, I believe.
It's a Friday and Saturday, yeah. It's beautiful summer. Come down to that peninsula, the Ballerine Peninsula, and spend some time with us.
Now, they are one-day workshops, folks, so it's either the 17th or the 18th, not both. So, well, you can do both if you want.
I was going to say, if you want to really spend time with us, you probably want to get your head read at the same time.
That's right.
So, yeah, they're on 17, 18. There's places in both of them. It's $199 for pretty much from lunchtime to sunset type of thing.
Sunset. And that's in summer, so you get a good 7 to 8 hours with us. So.
Yeah, and we go to multiple locations. We teach as much as we know. We'll answer questions. We'll give examples. You'll walk away with hopefully a bit more knowledge under your hat and a bit more passion for what we do.
Yes.
So those two are on sale as we speak. They generally sell out pretty quickly.
Yes.
I think people are waiting around just to see what their Januaries are looking for at the moment.
Yes, I can't believe we're talking 2025, but there you go.
I put something on my website today for 2026.
Which is just incredible. So anyway, that's what happens. Time marches forward.
Yeah.
And the other one we want to talk about is BFOP. So the Bright Festival of Photography, which is happening from October 11, 2024. So in a couple of months' time. Really looking forward to that. Cam over there is going into his 4th or 5th BFOP. It will be my first as a presenter. So looking forward to that. Is that a BFOP hat?
No, it's not a BFOP hat. My hair, like you said, before we got on here, Brendan was picking on hats. All my hair was. And now I can't stop looking at you, bastard. So now I'm going to put a hat on.
For those of you on the audio channel, Cam had Lego hair for a little while.
I don't know what was going on, but I don't.
Now he has a cap on.
I have a cap. Anyway, BFOP. Let's get back to it.
Yes.
BFOP's awesome. 11 to 13 October. It's getting bigger every year. There's going to be
and it's almost sold out. I don't know why we're even plugging it because I think it has it sold out or
I reckon there's maybe 25 spots left.
Right, out of 500. So out of 500 being sold.
We are 64 days, 15 hours, 45 minutes, and 43 seconds away from it as we record now.
That's right.
It is awesome. I've never met anyone that's gone to BFOP and said, "Yeah, you know what, that wasn't much fun. I really didn't enjoy it." It's a really good vibe. The whole town turns into this photo town. You could just don't worry too much about what workshops or sessions you're going to do. Just get your ass up there, book in whatever you can, because everything molds into one. So if you don't get to do, for example, something with Brendan, you can always grab him later on in his downtime and he'll have a chat to you about whatever and blah, 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 vice versa with me. It is really good. Yeah, can't wait.
So yesterday they put up a heap of the workshops.
Yeah, you were there.
It's a list in progress, so more workshops get added to that list as they get finalised and all the details get sorted out. Yeah. Mine will be added in the very near future. And it's so diverse as well. I think that's the cool thing. Like you look through the list of workshops that are available, you can basically take photos of anything, where you can actually be taught how to take photos of pretty much anything. When you come to the Bright Festival of Photography.
Just to give you an idea, sorry to cut you off there, just to give you an idea of how BFOP works. So we had Matt Crummins on the show a few weeks ago. He's 50% of the brains trust behind it. The other one is Nick Fletcher, who's a wonderful guy who is a great photographer in his own right. But just to give you an idea of how this works, the first workshop they put up there is called not Formula One, but close. So what they're going to do is they're going to get some light painting. So Dennis Smith, who's the light painting extraordinaire, did a job in one of the F1 car manufacturers overseas this year. And there's a picture of this F1 car all lit up with this incredible light painting. But no, they're not going to do that. They're most likely just going to get some Honda Jazz or some car off the street and do the same thing.
Should I take my Renault Traffic up there?
So maybe take that up there. So it's one of those things where it's a professional festival, but there's a fair bit of piss taking in it as well, which I love it. I think that's one of the best things about it. No one takes anything too seriously, but yeah, if you get on bfopaustralia.com, you'll see that there's a heap of workshops up there already. You can get your tickets on there. Glenn Lavender's going again, fan of the show. Maybe this time you'll remember what the show's called.
If you haven't done a Glenn Lavender workshop, now BFOP is a massive. For those of you who already got tickets to BFOP and you didn't do Glenn's workshop last year, I did, and I can tell you, the guy is very, very, very good at what he does. He's an excellent teacher. The way he breaks it down and keeps it incredibly simple, and at the end, here's a down south photo show guarantee. You will walk away with an absolute banger of a photo from Glenn Lavender's session.
That I'll agree with, but you'll also work away with a really now bad bit of respect for his joke telling.
Yeah,
his jokes are terrible.
His jokes are terrible. As a joke teller, he's an excellent photographer.
That's exactly right. Yeah, no, it's Glenn's. I remember I crashed that workshop last year, and there are people in the Indian restaurant looking out the window, going, "What the hell are you all doing there?"
That's right.
It is good fun. You're doing a couple of workshops. I'm doing a couple of workshops.
Yep.
But get on there and have a look. Like I said, there's only maybe 20 odd tickets left. Just get. I don't know. It's so easy for us to say just go and do it, and people are like, oh, but I got to do this, I got to do that. Trust me when I say this. One of the best things on the calendar each year that we look forward to as photographers, and everyone else that goes looks forward to it. So it's that kind of festival that finishes in the next hour. It's almost sold out for the next year. So
yeah, that's right.
Get on there and take a look.
Do yourselves a favor. Should we talk backgrounds, Cameron? I mean, we're well into the show and we haven't done that yet.
You go first.
Shall I?
Yeah, why not?
So this is a photo. Now I'm going to try and remember the exact. I think it is 16 years old.
Right.
Any guesses as to where that might be, Cameron?
I
haven't told you, so it's questions without notice.
I'm going to say Eden.
Oh, you are so close.
Marimula.
Further south. Starts with M.
M. Maroochydore? No, that's up Queensland. I don't know. M. Don't know.
Malakuta.
Malakuta.
The magnificent Malakuta.
Oh,
I love it there. Great spot.
That's pretty wrapped.
That is sunrise at Malakuta down on the. If anyone's been to Malakuta, they know there's just water everywhere. It's just this massive big estuary. Yeah. And you can they've got the classic old jetties there and the old boats and stuff. But that photo, and the reason I love that photo is because it's taken with an Olympus E300.
Right.
Even though, look, I mean, it looks like an atomic bomb going off on the horizon, but the color in the color in the foreground, everything that I just love the color palette of the E300.
That little bit of light on the bottom of the boat's nice. It catches you.
Yes, it does. That's right. Maybe cool. I should have just cropped down to that, but it was an E300, so that's about as small as I could crop.
Yeah, nice. There's another location for workshops.
Oh, mate, and would it be? Yeah, Malakuta is magnificent. You've been somewhere.
Yes, I've been there. Can you not tell by my glow?
I could tell by your tall hair.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with that tall hair. I've just got back. Well, I've been back a little bit now, a couple of days from Fiji. We had a bit of a getaway with the family. Went to Fiji for 6 nights, 7 days. It was wonderful. Glad I got back there. We've been to Fiji quite a few times, but it's almost got that getting back to something like home when you go there. Now the people are just beautifully friendly. Kids had a ball. The kids just loved, like, literally every day. It was 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. in the pool. That was it. Get out, eat something, go back in. They loved it. We did a bit of snorkeling, but it was just a really relaxing trip. We stayed at the Hideaway Resort. Shout out to anyone who might be listening from there. I gave a few plugs over there. We won the trivia.
We have so many new subscribers.
We might have Fiji subscribers. We won the trivia in the resort a couple of nights in a row. That was good.
Nice.
But that was good fun. So this shot I've got as my background was taken one of the first nights I was there. I just got my camera out and I went, oh, this is only a stone's throw away from where we had dinner. But just classic Fiji. Just a beautiful sunset. That little bureau on the right hand side is actually a wedding chapel that you can have a wedding in, and our room was just down the back a bit further on the right. It was beautiful, really nice warm weather. We had, I don't know, maybe 28, 29, 30 degrees every day, light breeze. We had a little bit of rain one night, which was cool. There was frogs out. Everything was happening. I had one really cool bit where there was some people in a hut near us. It must have been about like 10:30, 11 o'clock when we were sort of settling down. And they were drinking and carrying on. We're like, oh, here we go. Yeah, we're going to get stuck with these yobbos. And so I thought I'll just walk outside and see where it's coming from. So, yeah, as you do, as a
Yeah,
dad, let's just see what's going on. And I walk outside, and it's a bit breezy, and I walk out and I look up, and the Milky Way is smack bang the core right above my head, running between all these palm trees.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'm like, oh, for Christ's sake, I'm not going to bed now. So I went and got the tripod, got the camera out, went down a bit further out to the coastline here, and shot back up and had the core running purely straight down the middle of all the palm trees. It was just pure luck. But yeah, we had a great time. It was good.
Didn't bother to use that as your background. Just thought you'd run with that run of the mill postcard shot.
Well, maybe I'll update it as the episode goes along.
If your computer plays along.
If my computer wants to play along. But yeah, it was good. It was a good trip, and glad we did it. Like, we haven't had a good holiday for a while, our family, and
good.
Yeah, so we might make it a bit of a yearly thing.
I think always good to have a getaway with the fam. And
there it is.
Now you're talking. Cam's gone double background, everyone.
Double background. So that was it. That was the Milky Way core. It was pretty windy. You can see all the palm trees moving.
Yeah.
It's actually, I learned something over there that palm trees drop coconuts when you're out in the middle of the night and it's windy.
And
I didn't get me, but I heard a few land. I'm like, whoa, what the hell was that?
Actually, I've heard that they can be lethal.
Yeah, they can kill people.
Truth.
So needless to say, I went back into the safety of my little hut.
Well, while we're on this little thing, you took your Leica gear, is that right?
I did. Yes, I did.
Okay, so fans of the show will know that Cam has become Mr. Leica. And I just want to ask you how it's going for you so far. I mean, it's only a couple of weeks in. There is the weapon of choice.
There is the weapon of choice.
What is it? A Leica what?
This is a Leica M11.
M11, yes.
So this is a rangefinder style mirrorless camera. So you look, the viewfinder is actually through here, and you've got to measure up the two little screens to get the focus right.
Yep.
It has a screen as well, obviously, and all the buttons and stuff like that. But very minimalistic. You can see there's not much on it.
Nope.
And it's the second one I've had. And you know what? I'm really happy.
Good.
I will not. The Fuji that I've traded in and got rid of, the Fuji GFX, is an amazing camera, but it just doesn't suit my style of getting around and carrying heavy gear and stuff like that. So this one is small. This is a little 50mm lens. I got a little 21mm lens for it as well. It's just a really nice camera, but I've used it in Fiji, and I actually used it the other day. I was out on the West Coast here doing a job for the West Coast Wilderness Railway team, and that was pretty cool. And I took that out. It's a slow camera, doesn't have any autofocus. It's all manual focus and everything like that. But I like it. The quality out of it's really good. The one thing that I learnt the other day about these cameras, what I think puts them above maybe some other brands, is the lenses.
Yes, of course.
The depth of field, the shallow depth of field in these lenses is magic.
Yeah.
And I did a few shots the other day at f2 of this locomotive sort of at the end of this railway line in the forest. And the track just falls off perfectly into the foreground. The engine's sharp as a tack, and everything else just is nice and soft around it. So yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I'm going to stick with it for a long time, I think.
Now, you haven't given up. Like, that's not wholly and solely your only camera. You've hung on to your OM system gear.
Yes.
Because there are going to be times when you're going to need the speed of the OM system, and also the reach of the OM system. So you'd be crazy not to hang on to something else.
So I've got my OM1. I've got a wide angle as standard in the tele and the little macro lens. That's all I've got for that now. So I've really minimized. I traded in and sold a whole heap of other lenses and got rid of a whole heap of stuff. So I'm down to literally 2 camera bodies and 6 lenses across the whole thing, pretty much.
Very good.
That's good. Yeah. I took the Olympus with me over to the West Coast, not to Fiji, to do that train thing. And you're right, there was somewhere that autofocus comes in really handy. and the image stabilizing comes in really handy as well. The Leica doesn't have any of that kind of stuff, but I could easily carry 2 cameras for a weight that was less than the one Fuji I had. So so for me, it's high quality. It's a 60 megapixel camera, so I can use it if I need it for my commercial stuff. It's light, it's good to use, it's fun to use. You really got to think about it and slow down. So yeah, I'm pretty happy.
Very good. Had a interesting conversation. I ran my landscape and seascape workshop on Sunday. Basically, it's a 4 or 5 hour workshop where we have about an hour of tuition in the shop, and then we head out onto location here on the beautiful Bellarine Peninsula. And well, when we were down on the beach having a chat, one of my customers asked me whether or not she should upgrade to a new Sony that she was looking at. She's currently shooting with the OM1.
Yep.
But was really interested in a Sony A7R5, which I thought I'd mention on the show because we do talk gear a lot. We've moved into gear talk. We're jumping all over the place here, but that's fine.
We're all over the shop. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. And I just posed the question: well, why? Why do you want to go to to this particular model? And the first thing they said, it's I think 50 megapixels.
Yeah.
Maybe 60. It's
I think it is. I think it is 60. Yeah.
Yeah. The A7R5. I said, okay. So how big are you enlarging your photos? And she said, oh, I don't really do much printing. It's like, okay. So I think you might have just answered your own question. So
that's the end of the conversation, really, isn't
it? It really was. And it was good because I don't think they'd sort of considered that part of it.
Yeah.
They did make the point, though, that they're interested in doing a lot of portrait work.
Yeah.
And one area that I know Sony excel at is their eye detection.
Yeah.
For portrait. And it's incredible. You can tell it what kind of eye you're looking at, whether it's a dog's eye or a fish's eye or a human's eye or as far as I'm aware, Cam, and you'll know more than I do on this because I don't have a late model OM camera other than my OM5, which I know doesn't have it. They don't have eye detection, right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Yeah. So and it's I think across the board, what I've seen, the Sonys and Canons probably excel with the eye detection, especially when they're doing, like you said, animal and wildlife detection.
Yes.
Although having said that, I had a real issue with one of the Canons, other customers, Canon on the workshop. But the Sonys I've seen work almost flawlessly with that.
It's quite amazing technology, isn't it?
Well, it's all AI stuff. It's all mixing in together. It is very cool. And they do work extremely well. So yeah, for portraits and stuff like that, you can use eye detection across the ranges now, pretty much.
Yeah. And speaking of eye detection, I'm sorry for jumping all over the shop and the show tonight, but I had a customer bring in, I think it's called an EOS 1 film camera. Do you remember those? Or maybe it was a 1N or something?
The big ones.
Big, chunky,
yeah. EOS 1, yeah.
And now it had eye detection, but of a different kind. Do you remember that?
I remember I had an EOS 50.
Okay.
And it had eye detection, but it read your eye.
Correct.
And you look out there, it will put the square wherever you look through the viewfinders.
So you calibrate your eye, your iris, therefore your pupil, and the camera knows where you're looking and focuses on that point where you're looking. This is 2000 technology.
Yeah. You know what though? I think some of that is still available in cameras.
Right.
I think it works both ways. There is eye detection on your subject, but then there's also eye tracking for when you and I think it's a patented Canon thing.
Well, maybe I heard a rumor that it's going to be available in the R1.
Yeah, but no one's going to buy the R1 because it's 10 grand.
Well, someone will buy it. They wouldn't make it if no one's going to. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you wanker.
Moving on.
Someone's going to buy it. They wouldn't be making it otherwise. But I noticed that a lot of people are really raving about the R5 Mark II, which was the well-kept secret from Canon, is now stealing the limelight from the R1, and the R1 is copying an absolute pasting in the media, which sort of doesn't surprise me, but it's interesting that their so-called flagship camera
is getting underrated.
Hype.
No. Yeah. Speaking of R5s, shout out to our friend Jamie. He finally got his camera out and used it.
he didn't even own one. He's just put a 5 over his old one.
He's just like scraped it in, penciled it in.
Right.
No, he came and did what we call Steam Under the Stars. We did some steam engine shots on the West Coast.
Great.
He came along to that and he pulled it out, and like it was quite fun. I don't know, everyone's got a friend who's got an old Canon or even maybe an old Nikon without the flippy screen.
Yep.
The look on his face when he pulled the screen, he was like, "Oh shit." And I go, and you can turn it around and put it back, and then you got the screen right there.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, okay." It was like, what? This is what? Why have you not been using this already?
Look at this 2009 technology I've got.
I know, yeah. So he was quite happy, and I haven't seen the shots that he got. He was pretty happy with a few of them. He said so.
Yep, good.
But yeah, Canon, the R1. Yeah, I don't know, like. I don't think it's going to go down with any legendary status, but
well, do you think there'll be one at BFOP?
Well, Canon are coming and Sony
That's what I'm
are coming.
saying. I'm hopeful that Canon are there so we can have a little hands-on. Although we'll have to wear masks and hoods and glasses and stuff so they don't recognize us.
We're going to do another live show from BFOP, aren't we? Surely.
I would have thought so.
Well, we've got to get our hands on an R1 just so I can pay out on it, like in the flesh. To say, we'll ask Canon.
I don't think the good people at Canon are going to. They'll be watching us eagle-eyed while we do that.
No one watches us, mate. If I'm going to get my hands on an R1, and then I'm going to pay out on the show.
Yeah.
And then that's it. The show will then we will get sued.
So I tell you what, I'm seeing a lot at the Olympic Games, Cameron, is these white lenses. So there's a lot of Canon lenses there.
I thought you were going to say something else then. I thought you were going to say you're seeing a lot of penises at the Olympics.
Well, penises taking down pole vault poles and stuff. Did you see that?
I did see that. That guy has now been
hilarious.
That guy's now been offered a very
salubrious role
in some films that maybe only adults will.
Yes, correct.
And then there's all been the controversies about the boxes and the X and Y chromosomes and. It's the era in which we live, which leads me to a little topic that we want to talk about tonight. Do you like that segue? It was good, wasn't it? Yeah, mate. That's why we're number one.
I want to talk about technology in terms of the photo finish. Now, this isn't new technology. This has been around for quite some time. However, it's been refined now so that they can actually get a result in a photo finish in under 20 seconds, which is pretty amazing when you.
That's horse racing, though, isn't it?
Well, if you had a look at, if anyone watched the 100 meters in the Olympics, which is, some would argue, the pinnacle of sport in the world is the 100 meters final at the Olympics.
That's what they all look for, isn't it? That's what everyone waits for, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the blue ribband event that everyone wants. So, anyway, I'm going to share the screen. So let's see if...
Don't play around with screens while we're recording live.
There we go. That one there.
No, that's the pole vaulter.
That's right. So that is the finish line of the 100 meters
on the Sony PlayStation 5.
It kind of looks it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And this was the photo that they put up on the screen. And, of course, if you look at that photo, what exactly are we looking at there? And that's not how they looked on the finish line. That's so what you're looking at here is approximately.
Don't say AI, please.
We're not looking at any AI whatsoever. Cool. Tell me one thing, Cameron, that you might notice about that photo that's different from the scene that you would have seen of them running down the track.
Maybe the color of the track?
Correct. So the color of the track happens to be white. Do you know why that is?
Because it's shot in black and white?
No. What you're actually looking at there is the finish line. The white of the finish line spread over approximately 150 frames.
Does
that make any sense to you at all?
Yeah, so instead of it being a slither of a line, it's...
That's right. So what you're looking at here is the instant each runner crossed the finish line as they cross the finish line. But what you're actually looking at here is about roughly half a second spread over the entire page to give them the actual result in real time of who crossed the finish line first. Now, you're looking at it and you're going, okay, it's all white because that is literally the white. That's how wide the camera lens is. It's as wide as the finish line stripe. That's it. Because that's all they need, right?
Right.
And the camera actually shoots at 40,000 frames per second, but they don't need all 40,000 frames. And basically the computer spits out this image to show as each runner crossed the finish line. The moment they cross the finish line, they put it all together like this so that you can see exactly who finished where and when.
Right.
So that's why you can see some distortion. You can see there's a bit of rolling shutter effect. You're going to get that. That's quite natural for that to happen in a shot like this.
Yeah.
But the thing that caught my eye, and I don't know whether it caught yours, is if you look at the top, you can see the Olympic rings and the word Omega.
Yeah. So how come that's not blurred or whatever?
So when you're watching the finish line at the Olympics or any World Championship now, if you look just above where the runners finish, you will see what appears to be a pole that looks like it's spinning or it's flashing.
Yeah. I know what it is now. Yeah,
that's actually the Omega sign and the Olympics ring sign flashing past there at the same frame rate as the camera, so that they can put this sponsorship on the actual finish line photo.
That's ridiculous.
It's crazy, right? So if you imagine basically what you're looking at here is 150 finish lines all put into one image. And that's exactly what you're seeing here. And that's how they determine then what physically happens. They zoom the image up quite large, and a judge has a marker where they put those lines that you can see there. And those lines there line up with the torsos of the winning,
each runner.
Because it's the torso that wins the race. Because otherwise, if you have a look, you can see someone's foot is across a line. They ain't the winner.
So the winner is the guy in
lane 3 from the bottom, which is lane 7.
And then second is the guy in yellow.
In yellow, correct.
And
so you can see
third is the guy.
That is what 1/5000th of a second looks like.
Right.
So I just found that really interesting. I was watching, and I'm like, they showed that photo, and instantly I was like, how do they make this image happen? So I YouTubed it, and lo and behold, there's a few YouTubers have put up stories about it. Actually, it's quite interesting. So there you go.
That's bloody cool.
It is very cool, isn't it? But I've been watching the photographers a lot at the Olympics. I don't watch a heap of the Olympics. It's on at a weird time, but when I get up and watch the highlights, constantly now find myself looking at photographers. Do you do that as well?
I can honestly say I have not watched a single minute of the Olympics this year.
There you go. So we'll move on to the next subject. No, but I've been watching what the photographers are doing and how they're going about it, and still deep down harboring a desire to be a sports photographer. It's pretty cool. It's very, very cool.
They do get to some cool, like they get to see all the cool stuff, don't they?
They do, but man, they work hard. Like I was watching, they showed I think it was the BBC put up a documentary about, and it was Rio 2016, so it's a little bit old now.
Yeah.
But they had a couple of photographers that were lined up for the 100-meter, for this very race. For the 100-meter final, and they were there 8 hours before the race, setting up the studio, setting up the stadium, with remote cameras, with cameras in the ceiling, with cameras on the finish line, and then literally having to stake out their spot. Pick the lane that they thought the winner would come from, all that sort of stuff. It's fascinating. So,
here's an interesting stat for you.
Go on.
So the Canon R1, which no doubt every pro there is working with, because they're going to try and flog the shit out of it.
That's what they do.
Does 40 frames a second.
Right.
So the most they could have taken on that shot, if they were taking it from start to finish, is only 400 shots.
That's right.
That's how fast these blokes run. That's amazing. Is it 400 shots?
40 frames a second, 400, yeah.
400 shots.
Seconds. Yep. Yeah. 400 shots.
So considering I reckon I've taken more of that just the other day of a steam locomotive taken off. It's interesting, but it's like something else we didn't touch on. I reckon we need to maybe do an episode after the Olympics finished of the best shots of the Olympics. But have you seen that one with the surfer guy?
Crazy.
That's incredible. Like where the surfer
Gabriel Medina,
where he's just up above the clouds and the surfboard's right next to him.
Yeah, I actually posted that to my socials during the week, and just like
that's cool.
Yeah, it was probably the shot of the games, I reckon. So,
I'll tell you what's happened this year. Like, what are we? We're August.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon we've seen, that I can think off the top of my head, 2 of the best shots I've seen that are historically going to last the time. So that the surfer guy one, amazing, and the Donald Trump ones.
Yep.
Like, that's 2 photos. That's the major role that photography plays in our lifestyles.
That's not bad. 2 out of about 40 billion that were taken.
Yeah, I think we sometimes underestimate the value of photography is that, if those guys don't click that shutter and they're not there, we don't see that. We don't even know what happens.
Yeah, and it was actually interesting just going back to the Olympics thing, because the photographers and, but more importantly, the editors and publishers actually have deals with the Olympic Organizing Committee, in that if they put out a photo that's taken at an Olympic Games, it must have the Olympic rings in the photo somewhere. Right. So it was actually interesting because that documentary I saw on 2016 was, they had to decide where the photographers' pits were going to be, and then on the wall behind the action, where to put the logo. In that case, Rio 2016. In this case, where are we now? In France 2024 has to be there with the Olympic rings. Even to the point where the outfits all have to have
the rings on them.
It's to keep the prestige, I guess, but the Olympics is such a massive marketing machine as well.
Well, I don't know if you listen to Joe Rogan.
I do, and I did hear his take on it.
Yeah, he doesn't rate as high as our show on the podcast channels.
No. If he gets a couple more listeners, he'll get close.
Yeah, but he was saying, it's got nothing to do with the athletes. It's all about the marketing and advertising dollar.
Yeah. Well, what he was saying was the money's got nothing, doesn't go back to the athletes. It goes to which I agree is abhorrent. Really, I mean, they're the ones putting on the show, and these are the people that give up. In some cases, did you see the cyclist from Australia in the velodrome? This is his 4th Olympics, 16 years he's been at this, and he finally got a bronze medal. That was all he ever wanted, was a medal.
Which makes you want to hate that 14-year-old kid that won skateboarding gold medal.
That's right.
They've been in it for 5 seconds.
For someone who hasn't watched much of the Olympics, you certainly know a lot about the Olympics.
Yeah, I've been reading the news.
Okay, that's all right.
You know what? I've been reading the news. It sounds morbid. I've been reading the news, waiting for the Middle East to kick off, because and England's out of control. Everything's going to shit over there, and we don't realize how lucky. But one more thing on the Olympics, I heard someone today had a great idea about the gold medals. They get some money, they'll get some sponsorship, and maybe some. Gina Reinhardt might give them 10 grand each or something like that. But one of the guys said, if you win a gold medal, give them a house, buy them a house. Yeah. Government buys them a house. How good would that be? You win a gold medal, you get a nice house.
Well, Gina Reinhardt gave each of the swim team 20 grand if you want a gold medal.
Yeah, and some golden Blundstones or something.
I saw that.
Yeah.
How was that?
Tassie company. Didn't know Blundstones in Tasmania? There you go.
I did. So is Mercury Cider.
Yeah, how's that head going? All right.
Because Tasmanian themed show. Right. We want to expand a bit more on Gear Talk, because you brought up the point when we're off air that there are currently no compact cameras available to buy. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's almost like these manufacturers now have given up completely on compact cameras thanks to the mobile phone.
Yeah. And also what it also does, it creates a whole heap of BS that people get told when they go into retail stores as to why there's no stock. So a good mate of mine, one of my best mates, if not the best mate, Mark, best friend from high school, he's going overseas to Canada on a big trip. And who do you call when you want to learn about your cameras? And you call Cam. I'll give you some advice.
And so I gave him my number, and
I gave your number, and that's it, and the problem solved. And he said, I want a small compact camera with a bit of zoom. I'm like, well, there's a few good ones around, and we spat off the Sony RX100 7, I think it is, and then there's a Canon PowerShot GX7, the sort of two that we went with. And he goes, all right, they look pretty cool. I said, they're pretty expensive for compact cameras. You're looking $1,500 to $2,000. They got 200 zooms, 20 megapixel sensors, or whatever it might be. He goes, all right, cool, thanks, mate. I'll go have a look around. Then he came back to me a couple of days, or actually today. He goes, can't get one anywhere. I'm like, oh, bullshit. There'll be one somewhere. Nowhere.
Nope.
Nowhere in Australia. Harvey Norman, JB Hi-Fi, Camera Houses, DigiDirects, George's, you name it. Anyone. You don't have one.
Nope.
All the Canon, they're all sold out everywhere. You're looking at a 3 to 6 month wait list to get them.
I would say that 3 to 6 month wait list may become indefinite.
Yeah. And then I said, all right, well, you're going to Canada and the States. Why don't you look at B&H photography in New York, or whatever. So we went and we spent about an hour on the phone today working this out. You cannot get one in the world anywhere, any of those two cameras. And what I've seen and what someone told me about what's happening at some of these, if you go on eBay, you can get some. because on eBay there is people selling them.
Yeah, and how much?
And how much they are. So these people most likely work in camera shops. They get the stock, they buy it for themselves, then they make a few $100 on top of it, which I've heard does sometimes happen. But some of the excuses Mark got as to why there was none in stock. The best one I had relates back to the Olympics that, oh, no, there's none of those cannons because they're all being used for the Olympics.
Oh, come on.
And I said, Mark said, he goes, I'm not a photographer, even though I know that's dog shit. He goes, they're not going to use compact cameras to shoot the 100-meter sprint or whatever it is. So,
Cameron, while you were talking, I found you one. I have found you a G7X Mark III, brand new, $2,144
on eBay,
on Amazon.
Amazon in stock,
in stock, in stock, ready to rock. I could have it by Thursday, well, tomorrow. Well, we're reporting this on Wednesday, but yes.
That's expensive.
But $2,144.
I think the retail is like $1,400 or something for those.
About that, maybe even $1,100. Yeah, not much.
Not much. So the question has to be asked: what the hell is going on with compact cameras?
It's interesting, isn't it? It's
it's not those as well. It goes down the ranges. There's nothing.
Totally
nothing
not.
about
So I've got a customer dead keen to buy her daughter a Canon SX 740 HS, which is a camera that's been around for 4 years. Big zoom, compact, great little camera. Got manual control. Yeah, really good travel camera. I think what's happened is there has been a bit of a switch in the market to real cameras again, and the decision has already been made by these manufacturers not to make them anymore. So there might be a bit of scrambling with getting stock back into production, which of course will have a lag time of 6 months. Yeah. So it is interesting. I'm seeing definitely more and more inquiries on high-end compact cameras, and the number one reason people say, "Yep, my phone, it does an okay job. It's got no zoom, but the big one, I have to look at my bloody phone when I'm taking a photo."
Yeah. Well,
they don't want to see it. They don't want to see their messages. They want to be off the grid. They don't want to be. They want a camera that doesn't tell them that their daughter's trying to call them.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, because in the end, after speaking with Mark all day, he's like, you know what? I went into my Optus shop and updated my phone to the 15 Pro Max.
Yep.
It's got 48 megapixel. It's got a little bit of zoom. Does really good video. And he goes, I can just keep it on me the whole time.
Yep.
And it's cost him $99 to update it.
Which is a bummer, because he will miss that zoom.
He will miss that zoom. That's what I said. Yep. You might. That's the only thing you're sort of compromising is that zoom.
Yep.
But yeah, it was really interesting. I'm like it's only because I don't really look at that stuff too much because it's not the market I'm in. But he just came to me. He goes, I can't find him anywhere. I'm like, oh bullshit! Come on, there'll be one somewhere.
Yeah.
Nothing. Absolutely. Zeros.
I know my local camera house in Geelong, no stock of compact cameras and nothing on the horizon. So it's interesting. They do have really cheap and nasty Chinese-made compact cameras, but for kids and that sort of stuff. But then it's like, I want to spend $100 on a camera. I want to spend $8,000 on a camera. There's nothing in between. Yeah,
it was really, really, really weird. And like it's a real gap. Like people don't want to. It's almost like the camera manufacturers have gone, we can't compete with phones at the moment. So why bother? People have got their phones, and the phones are outdoing us in megapixels and video quality. Then stuff it. Why do we bother?
Yep. No, it's going to be interesting, and I honestly do think that the manufacturers now that start looking perhaps at better technology in compact cameras might be the ones that come out on top in the next year or two.
Yeah. It was a really interesting conversation, and it just sort of opened my eyes up. I'm like, wow, there's a massive gap, and I waited that little Fuji I've got. I waited months for that to come in as well. The same problem.
Yep.
It's strange.
Yeah, very strange. Now, Cam, are we going to have a look at this deer cam, or are we going to ask for deer cams?
I reckon maybe we hold off on the deer cam. We've been going about 50 odd minutes now.
We have. If you have a deer cam question, please send it in. Now, you can send us a deer cam through Facebook at our Facebook page. You can send us a deer cam via email, which is linked below to Cam or myself, or you can head over to dsps.com.au and check out that website while you're there. And while you're there at dsps.com.au, perhaps you could, like this person's done, buy us a beer. Can we have the beer donations for this week, please?
Wow.
Seamless.
Wow.
I started poorly, but I'm coming home strong, like
Yeah,
an Olympian should.
I actually thought you were going to say, you know what, scratch that, let's start again, but you didn't. You kept
No,
going.
thank you.
Beer donations. It wouldn't be a beer donation without Mallory.
Hello, Mel.
Mal H.
I'll see Mel in 2 weeks.
I'll see Mel in a couple of weeks. He's coming to do the macro workshop
Oh, I hope that doesn't
with my
overlap when I'm supposed to be up in Bright. But anyway,
when you in Bright.
I don't know. The
So
21st of August.
yeah, he's down here on the 23rd and 24th.
Oh, well, I'll see him just before he leaves then.
You might be able to cross paths on the Hume.
Lovely.
But thank you, Mel, for your donation. Yeah, a small week this week is probably a good thing. We don't probably need too much more.
I don't need any more Mercury cider, that's for sure. If you would like to buy us a beer, head to dsps.com.au. Buying us a beer helps prop up the show, helps us to promote the show. It also literally buys us a beer.
Literally.
So,
Hey,
literally.
you know when you go on planes and stuff, and
do.
this is going to be controversial. It may spew over to the next episode.
Oh, is this a teaser?
It could be. I've got a bit of a bone to pick, and it's with some pretty high profile people. So you know you're on a plane. I download some videos to watch, YouTube to watch, and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I downloaded, and I know you're a big fan of Thomas Heaton. Yeah, I know you like his work, and a few others, and Nick Cavia. Is it Nick Cavia?
Nick Carver.
Nick Carver.
Yep.
And so I downloaded a whole heap of things, and I was watching one of Thomas Heaton's videos about his tornado chasing and storm chasing.
Yep.
And the amount of times I found myself just sitting there going, bullshit, bullshit. No, that's bullshit. You're an idiot. The amount of times I did this through the episodes, I'm like, what's going on? Is he slipping? The amount of mistakes that he made, that he openly said he'd made, and some of the advice he was giving, I'm just like, doesn't make sense to me. So
yeah, look, I think some YouTubers, yeah, you might be right. Thomas Heaton might be one of them. He doesn't listen to the show, so we can talk about him. Definitely not Nick. Nick is
but that was the comparison I was going to make.
Yeah.
I watched his video of him in Yosemite.
I love Nick Carver. I think his productions are awesome. He's such a dude. Like, he's such a relaxed. He comes across as the kind of guy you'd love to sit and have a beer with and talk photography. We've got to get him on the show at some point.
Surely we've asked him, haven't we? We've got to get
I haven't
there.
yet. No. It's the old.
I'm
building up to it.
He's going to be.
I had a chat with him last week, and I'm
right.
having a little. You can't just. You got to. It's subtle. You
right.
work on him.
Well, I watched his after I watched the Thomas Heaton one, and I've got nothing against Thomas Heaton. Obviously, he's a very successful YouTuber and photographer, all that. But I just found myself, as a professional, I think I'm quite knowledgeable about what I do and how it all works.
Yep.
And I just set myself sitting there going, that's bullshit. Like that's misleading someone watching this. Like, look, that's not going to help someone.
I think Tom is pushed hard up against the line. I don't think he's crossed it yet, but he's pushing hard up against the clickbait line. He's pushing hard up. Yeah, he is. And he's pushing hard up against the advertising line and promotional stuff. The guy's making a good living. I think it appears that he's making a good living at his photography, and YouTube is definitely one string in his bow that's doing that for him. But I do agree. I think when I started watching Tom Heaton, which has got to be 8 years ago, his work was a lot more subtle.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot more clickbaity, a lot more action, a lot more. But he's a storyteller, and I think he's a good storyteller. But yeah, I think you're right. And that whole storm chasing thing that he spread over 4 weeks could have easily been one video.
Yeah. And I encourage people, go watch the series. It's great. I think storm chasing is awesome.
But I think in Tom's defense, in this case, he's having some time off, and he needed to produce a month of videos basically to put out so he could rack off for a month. And I understand that. Hopefully the next stuff he puts out is a little better. Mind you, some of the photos he got on that storm chasing thing were phenomenal. Like,
they were, but they could have been better.
They were very good cameras.
Anyway, look at me being a wanker. This is what happens. You buy one of these, all of a sudden you're an expert.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
No, I just watched it. I must admit, I've watched a few of them over the last few months of his, and I find myself, and comparing to Nick's, and the other guy, James Popsis.
Popsis,
They've
and
got that.
not to mention our friend of the channel, Ben Horn.
Ben Horn, like Ben just goes without saying. His are beautiful every time.
Yes.
I watched Nick's one the other day, and I was listening to it, and I was chuckling along. I'm like, this guy is cool.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. He gets some great shots.
He shoots film. I mean,
he shoots film, but he's down to earth, and he's not. It's not a plug every time he's doing something, or
Yeah.
It's not.
But
look at me type of
Nick
thing.
has developed a style, and he's honed a style of video. His edits are superb. And where Nick Carver, and we'll link him below, but where he stands out for me is actually his audio.
Yes.
The sound of the camera shutter, the
Yes.
ticking of his stopwatch. Ben Horn's quite similar, but Nick tends to put you in the place.
Yeah.
His series that he did on Andalusia in Spain was absolutely magnificent. So
let's just get him on.
There's a plug for you, Nick.
Nick.
Yeah, I think if we mention his name enough, it'll come up in some algorithm. Nick Carver.
So we want you on the show, Nick. Get your people to reach out to ours.
Absolutely. Cam, what have you got coming up this week? Are you going shooting trains again?
No, I am going to Cradle Mountain on the day
Why
this comes out.
would anyone go there? What a waste of time.
You know what? I'm starting to ask myself that question. I think it's going to rain most of the time we're there.
Oh boy.
I've got my winter workshop happening.
Fantastic.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, we get some sort of fluffy stuff fall out of the sky.
Do you want me to pop over and do a portrait workshop in a hut for you?
I think we're going to need to do something like that.
All right. Okay. No problem. I'll come
Five-star Dan arrives tomorrow morning, so he's ready and rocking to go. So I'm up there until Tuesday next week, and then what have I got? Then the next weekend after that, I'm back over to do more steam trains.
Very good.
And then I've got the wonderful Cheryl Davis flying in from WA to do our macro workshops.
It's all happening.
And then we're into the Tarkine, and then God knows, I don't know.
And before you know it, it's BFOP, and before you know it, it's Utah.
Oh,
that's going to roll around very quickly.
Are you getting excited?
I haven't allowed myself to be perfectly honest.
Five-star Dan. Sorry, Five-star Dan asked me a good question today.
Mm.
He goes, "We've got 3 cars." I'm like, yeah. He goes, "I don't think our two-way radios work in America. It's a different frequency." I'm like, "What?" So I looked it up, and he's right. The CB radio, handheld radios, the Australia ones don't work in America.
Really?
Because they use a completely different frequency altogether.
Right.
And you've got to have like a license to use a handheld UHF thing over there. I'm like, okay, just another spanner in the works of Utah.
So this is good. This means I'll be off driving somewhere, and you'll be yelling at me trying to get in contact with me. And
we're gonna have to learn this sort of stuff.
And we've got phones. We'll be fine.
That's right. We'll be fine. Smoke signals.
Totally fine.
So, what about you? What have you got coming up?
That's a very good question, and I probably should have answered my own question asking what I've got coming up. It's another week at the shop, doing so much canvas printing. My goodness. I mean, I'm wrapped, of course.
You look like it.
Wow. Just, a lot of big printings, not just canvases, actually. I'm printing a lot on cotton rag material at the moment. So the heavyweight matte cotton rag paper, which I love, the Ilford stuff I use. It's got a beautiful finish for photography. And when you put it in behind glass, it just looks nuts. So I did 8 A1 fully framed cotton rag prints today. So and framed them all. So that was a bit of a mission. But I did find time to head over to Point Lonsdale, and this is the callback. This is going right back to the start of the show. Come along to our Ballerine workshop and hang out with us at the Point Lonsdale Lighthouse. It is such a photogenic lighthouse.
Yeah, it is a very cool spot. I thought you were going to say you played golf.
No, I took the dog, who is asleep over there on the couch, for a walk, and that's why he's asleep on the couch. I tucked him right out, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But it'd be business as usual this week, and the week after I'm up to Bright. So
nice,
very good, nice. All right, cool. Well, that's been a good catch up on episode 131.
Yeah. Quick shout out to the Diamond Valley Camera Club.
Yes.
Who invited me the day before I went to Fiji for a bit of a chat. I went up there in my old stomping ground. They let me back in. Funnily enough, I didn't really know anyone there from Diamond Valley, but it was good. We had a good hour or 2 hours of chatting. Nice little camera group full of great people. So thanks for having me along if they've listened. Again, I plugged the show, and not that we need to plug it because we are #1 in the world, but I did plug it in Diamond Valley. Yeah,
that's right.
Maybe the universe.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it amazing how Mr. Universe always comes from the Earth? This has been episode 131 of the Down South Photo Show. Are you done and dusted, Mr. Blake?
I am now. That's the shit house.
No worries. We will see you for episode 132 next week. Bye for now.
Ciao. Miss Universe, you freaking idiot.